Hey guys, welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show, courtesy of introvertdatingsuccess.com. I'm your host as always, Harry Wilmington. And on today's show, we're going to talk about something that is very important that you as a man must do, or rather not do, in order to keep your woman in her feminine nature. Now, I bring this up because there's a lot of talk on today's just in the manosphere today in general, with guys complaining about how women aren't feminine anymore, they have a masculine energy about them, they're argumentative, yada, yada, yada. The reality is, though, that for the most part, most women that are out there still have the ability to live and act in their feminine nature. But the problem is, there's a lot of problems. A major problem, obviously, is that, as men, we have to learn to get back to our masculine nature and learn the ins and outs of what women are looking for in men to exude those masculine qualities that's going to make her feel comfortable resting in her femininity. And I've done a few shows about that, so we don't have to go deep into that. But what I thought about the other day is that there's another important thing that you as a man must be aware of, okay? And it's this. We want women to live in their feminine nature. But as the result of that, if you're wanting a woman that is going to be a feminine woman, then what that means is there's going to be times where she's going to be doing things that women traditionally just do as part of what their character is, that you're not going to understand, you're going to find frustrating, you're going to want information about why it is she's doing a particular thing or whatever. And in the process of that, you may actually end up saying things to her that almost in a way punish her for acting according to her nature. Now think about that. Think about the fact that, for example, as men, a lot of times we get chastised for some of the more quote unquote masculine qualities that we exude. And we get very frustrated when women will say things like, for example, oh, I want a guy that's more emotional, that's in his feelings. And yet when we do those things, we get punished for it, we get chastised. And there are times when we try to do things in our masculine nature that women don't understand. Well, why do you guys don't feel things the way we feel things? And why is it that you want to, rest after you get home and not want me around and all these other things? And they're just, we don't like it when they do it to us. We don't like it when we're just moving about in the world as men, as we've been taught to, in the way that we feel is masculine, and that just generally gels with us to our core. And we don't like women coming along and saying that we shouldn't be that way. That's not a thing. You shouldn't think that way. But yet, men do it to women all the time. And so it's frustrating for them because, again, women have their way of moving about in the world. And that means they think differently, they act differently. Different things are more important to them than they are to us. But we're their soulmate, we're their person they want to connect with. And so they want to be able to feel free to be that feminine person around them, where even if we don't necessarily understand all the time what it is they're doing or why, that we're still going to accept them as is. So here's where that starts to fall off the rails. You start making sarcastic snide comments. You start telling her she's being overly emotional or she's being too womanly about something. And what happens is you're basically stifling that woman's ability to act feminine, because anytime that she does something that's in a woman's nature to do, you're chastising her, you're punishing her for it, you're teasing her about it, and it makes her feel less safe and secure to be able to be that feminine woman that's around you. Because I know as guys, we think, oh, I want a woman that's really feminine. We think like when it's going to be sexy, wear lingerie, and cook for us, and all these traditional things, which some women do, some women don't. It is what it is. But the point is that women are going to be apt to actually want to do those things for you if she feels as though she's being more often than not rewarded for her acting in a feminine role than not. And so what I want to do for you guys today is I'm going to list a few examples of things that women do that sometimes men complain about or make jokes about, that if you're doing those things when she's doing these things, could actually cause your woman who wants to live in her feminine nature and do the feminine things that she's supposed to do, make her want to retreat from that because you as her mate are only giving her pushback and punishment for it, okay? So, perfect example, okay? A lot of times women will call things cute. You go to the store, oh, that's a cute little top, or they'll come to you and say, hey, wouldn't it be like a cute idea if we got, if we did this thing, or if we got this kind of candle for the table or whatever, and you're thinking to yourself, I don't care if it's cute or not. Like, why does it have to be a cute thing for me to like it? Like, I don't understand that. And so you may start teasing her about that. Oh, well, I don't care if it's cute or not, or what do you mean, blah, blah, blah. And so that's an example of she's using language that women oftentimes use to describe the feeling they're getting when they're seeing something or thinking about something, and you're making fun of it because you don't understand the idea of a thing being cute. As a guy, more often than not, you're probably not going to equate most things as being cute outside of like, oh, you look really cute in that outfit. But most things you're not going to say, oh, that's a cute little, candle that you got, or that's a, cute flower over there. Like, that's just not in our language, but it is part of their language. So you can't punish her for using words or phrases that women more often use than men do. Another example, talking about their emotions. Women will get together with each other and have a whole hour-long conversation just about their emotions. And as men, we don't typically communicate that way. We typically get together, we're talking about facts, figures, more facts, women, going out to get some drinks, more facts. I've noticed guys really, let me just talk about this for a minute. Guys really do spend a bunch of their time talking about facts. Like, the next time you hang out with your guy friends, really study and listen to what is actually being talked about. More often than not, it's going to be facts about sports, facts about jobs, facts about numbers, and this and that. Rarely do men get into emotional conversations. And again, this is not me saying that either one of these is right or wrong. It's just women, when they're with other women, typically talk about more relationship stuff and relationship style stuff and emotional stuff, and guys talk about facts and figures. There's nothing wrong with either of those, except for when you're making fun of her for wanting to talk emotional all the time. Obviously, in a couple of them, you're going to want to learn how to be able to talk each other's language. So just like she's going to have to get used to hearing you talk about, the latest video game coming out or the sports score that happened last night or whatever, you're going to have to get used to every so often, she's going to want to go into the realm with you, her partner, to talk about emotional stuff, okay? And you trying to back off or say, oh, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to get too deep or emotional. Well, now you're basically saying the way you talk as a female, I don't want to have to hear that. I don't know how to talk like that, so I don't want to talk like that with you. And it's going to make her feel less connected to you and less likely to want to be in her feminine nature. Another thing, making decisions based on their emotions. So in addition to talking about emotions, a lot of times when women are making decisions, they're not just taking into account the logical aspect of the decision, but they're taking into account what is the emotional effect going to be on the people involved in that decision. As men, we might have a little understanding of that sometimes, but we're always more often not looking at the idea of like, okay, if I put A and B together, I'll get C. So I shouldn't have to worry about what C is going to feel because we want C to be the outcome. And so recognize that women are very intuitive and they can read into the emotion of a situation and make sure they're trying to have all the feelers that are around them working in a way that's going to allow them to have the best outcome without really hurting anybody. And that's actually an admirable thing to have, because I know there's been times when I've been thinking about making decisions and I'm not taking into account what the emotion is, because I'm like, well, it doesn't matter the emotion. This thing has to get done. This thing needs to be said. This thing needs to be worked on. And having a woman around to be able to say to you, hey, what have you thought about this thing? Or maybe this isn't a good time to go to that person, or this person's going through this thing, so this might not be the best thing to bring up to them right now. Like, that's a valuable thing, okay? And that's why men and women go so well together, because we both have things that the other one doesn't have. But if you are rejecting her thought process and rejecting her emotional way of being, that's not going to make her feel like you respect or admire anything about her as a female, because that's an integral, important part of how they operate and function. Another thing that women do more often than men, crying at the drop of a hat. Let's face it, women, because they are so emotionally built up and they have these feelings about them all the time, they're more apt to just cry. They'll cry when they're happy, cry when they're sad. I know my mom, she'd be crying if we, did something like, graduate from college or do something really nice for her. And she'd also cry if, like, me and my brother fought. And we didn't always know when that was going to happen. We just knew, like, oh crap, she's crying, but she seems happy, or oh, she's crying, we really upset her. But the point is, like, that's just a thing that more often than not women do. Not to say men can't cry. It's just on average, women can just cry over just you treated her really nice today, or she had an emotional talk with you and she felt connected, and now she's thinking about how beautiful the relationship is, and now she wants to cry, okay? So when these things happen, women want to be around men that make them feel safe and not judged or teased or made fun of for crying at any given time, okay? Hopefully, more often than not, it's going to be happy tears. But at those times when she's crying, the worst thing you could do is say, why are you crying? That shouldn't be a thing. This isn't anything to get emotional about. Again, you're now saying to her, how you are in this moment is not the way you should be. And if you want a woman that's going to be staying in her feminine, that means sometimes having to deal with these cries that come out, even if it, for you, seems like it's for no reason. Another thing that a lot of women do that men complain about, not being able to make a decision on something. Okay, guys, I get it. You're asking her, where do you want to eat tonight for dinner? And she cannot make up her mind, and it frustrates you, okay? But that is the same thing as if a woman came to you and said, hey, so how are you feeling about this thing right now? Hey, you just had something happen at your job. How do you feel? Are you happy? Are you sad? And you're sitting there like, I got a promotion at my job. It's just what's supposed to happen. And you're not understanding. So recognize that happens on both ends. So just like you don't want her to get frustrated when you tell her you're not having an emotional response, if there's times where she is not able to make a decision on something, don't be in there and saying like, well, you just got to make a decision. And why can't you figure it out? I've already figured it out. It shouldn't be so hard. Again, you got to take the good with the sometimes frustrating. So just like there's a lot of good aspects to her feminine traits, if there things pop up that are annoying to you, recognize that it's part of the package. And most of the stuff that is actually frustrating you about how women's acting is not actually like the end of the world. Like her not being able to make a decision, more often than not, they want you to make the decision anyway. So you're not really losing out. If anything, it's allowing you, she's giving you the wherewithal to be able to make decisions because she trusts you and knows that hopefully you're going to lead both of you guys in the right direction. All right. Continuing on. Another thing women like to do a lot is wanting to talk about the relationship. Now, as men, we could go our whole lives and never have to do a deep dive into specifically talking about how we feel about the relationship, how we feel about her, if we're on a good track, if we're on a bad track. We're kind of like, hey, if I'm around, she should just know that we're good. But women, as part of them being able to connect and bond with you, are going to have times when they want to sit down and talk about the relationship. They want to be able to try to do any troubleshooting that needs to be done early on before it gets too bad. They also want to be able to say, hey, I really respect you and appreciate all that you brought to the table. And these, admittedly, for guys can be very gooey conversations. It's like, she's talking about emotions and feelings, and you start feeling that gag in the back of your throat, like, I gotta start saying sweet stuff. But recognize, again, in order to keep her in her feminine nature, it means sometimes having to be open to talking about a relationship. Now, ideally, a woman that loves you and cares about you wants to talk about it because she wants to express to you verbally how good of a job you're doing, how much she appreciates you, how much she recognizes that you're caring for her, and how she wants to grow with you, okay? And every so often, when she brings this up, this is the time when she's basically, if she's verbalizing it in these moments, this is the time where you can say a few things here and there too to keep her engine going, you know? I'm not very much a verbal guy of expressing himself, but I still know every so often to be like, babe, I just want to say like, you're great. Or I appreciate you. Or hey, here's a jar of love notes for you so you'll have a whole month to be able to like read how much I care about you. But that's going to be an important aspect of keeping her femininity alive, okay? Because her being able to talk about the relationship is her being able to make sure in her head that you two are still good and that the way that she's acting in her feminine is actually working for you, okay? Keep that in mind. Another thing, her wanting to help you with stuff even when you don't think you need it. A woman that genuinely loves you is designed by nature to be your helpmate. She wants to be there to support you. She wants to do anything that she can do to show that she appreciates you and cares for you and wants to help you build, okay? Now, again, logical guys, we're sometimes thinking, how's that going to happen? Like if you're a construction worker, she's not coming to your job to help you build a wall. So how is she supposed to then help you out when she can't hold a nail? But this is why it's important for you as a guy to look at parts of your life where she can be of assistance. For example, I do a lot of, stuff with the website. I do stuff with my business with Introvert Dating Success. And so if I'm dating somebody, it's not that they can really give me advice on how to like run my business, but they can ask me, hey, do you need like a new computer? Or hey, I saw this great deal on this thing. Or hey, if you're looking for a place to hold like a men's conference, I can help look up some places for you to like have that'll be a good price, So it's like, women will ask you, hey, can I help you? Here's the thing idea I had. Here's a suggestion of something, but I want to be part of that, okay? And sometimes as guys, we think we got to be Superman, and we think the nice thing to do is say, oh, no, babe, no, that's okay, I got it. But again, you're pushing away her help. Her being a helpmate is part of her female nature. If you are rejecting help, you are rejecting her being female, and therefore you are not actually reveling in what could be a bonus and a benefit to your life, okay? Another thing, her telling her how much she misses you, her telling you how much she misses you, even if it's only been a few hours. Women, when they love you and they truly care about you, you could be gone for like 5-6 hours, and they'll be sitting at home calling you up like, hey, I just want to know that I really miss you. I wish you were here. And you might be thinking to yourself as a guy, like, I've only been gone for like two or 3 hours. How is she missing me? Because as guys, we're mission focused. When we're not in front of our woman, we're on our mission. We're thinking only about that. We're not really thinking about them at home. We could care less until we are done with our thing. Then we're ready to go home, at which point, by the time we start to miss them, we will see them again. This is the logic that goes on in our heads. So when your woman's telling you things like, I miss you and I wish you were here, the worst thing you could say is, well, why? It's not like I'm coming home later tonight. Like, I didn't go out of town. Like, what the deal? Like, no. Part of her female nature is having so much love and care for you that when you're gone, she's still aching for your return. Do not mess that up by punishing her for wanting to have you around, because eventually she won't want you around, because anytime that you're gone and she says she missed you, you're just like, but I don't miss you. That's not a thing. And that's whatever. Like, women don't want to hear that. They want to be able to feel as though you care about them and want them around as much as they want you around, okay? And then the last thing I have here is things that women do is talk to you about problems she's having or situations that she's going through without wanting a solution. Now, this frustrates almost every guy that I know, because we're thinking, hey, if another guy came to me with a problem, I would assume that by him coming to me, he wants me to help him with that problem. So I don't understand why women come to me and tell me their problems and then they don't want a solution. So male, or we'll say masculine-oriented brains and feminine-oriented brains work differently, okay? In our heads, we're in a box. So we have a problem in this box. We can't figure it out. We're going to somebody else with the same box saying, here's the box. Help me figure it out. We'll figure this out. I'll go home. All right? Women, however, they want to talk. And the reason they want to just talk about it is because for them to get to a solution, they have to actively talk out what they're going through. They have to be able to express the feelings they're having. They have to go through like, what are the various options that I'm looking at that could work or not work, or what am I deciding on? And so in the process of talking all that stuff out, they come to a solution. So it's bad for us then to judge them and say, why do you come to me with your problems if you don't want a solution? Because we're thinking we're not doing anything. If you're coming to me and I have solutions, you're talking and I have like 5 solutions in my head right now and you don't want to listen to any of them. Well, one, recognize that for women, again, it's more so about bonding. Women bond through talking and through verbal communication. So part of this for her is being able to feel that you are connecting with her on some level, okay? But also to the point is that her talking it out with you, her partner, is going to allow her to come to a solution, which then she's going to come back to you later and say, hey, babe, thanks for talking to me. I figured it out, and I'm so glad I got to dump this on your chest so I could figure it out, and I know where I'm going to go with it now. So you're still doing simply by listening, okay? But you cannot punish her for not coming to a solution for a situation in the same way that you would, okay? Because ultimately, we operate differently. And so if you are looking for a woman that is legitimately trying to live in her feminine and is trying to be the best woman to you that she can be, that means there are going to be times that she's going to do stuff that doesn't make sense to us, doesn't gel with us, or frustrates us. But if you want her to stay in that realm of being the female, feminine person that you want her to be, it means learning how to deal with those things differently and recognizing that the way that she's doing things is just based on her nature, and that's totally fine. Just like the way that we do things oftentimes is just based on how we are as men, and that's also totally fine, and we shouldn't be punished or judged for that either, okay? Now, if you have a problem figuring out how to be less frustrated by some of those things, or maybe you've said things to a woman that made her feel like you were pushing her away when you weren't trying to or whatever, then hey, I recommend going to my website, introvertdatingsuccess.com, and downloading my program, Introvert Dating Success. It is the in and out, A through Z of how to meet, greet, attract, land, and keep the woman of your dreams. And it takes you through all types of different scenarios that you'll face with women that will give you a better objective and a better way of handling those things. So that way she can still be the feminine, secure woman that you are dating. You can be the masculine guy that she needs, and neither of you will be punishing each other for being the opposite of the other person. All right. So check that out at the website. Also get a download free copy of my ebook for men, No Girls for You, the ultimate guide to losing the girl of your dreams. You can get a free copy of it just by subscribing to the newsletter with your name and email address. Also, if you want to support this show, a couple ways you can do it. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/HarryWilmington. You can also leave a Cash App at $HarryWilmington. And of course, this show is all about you guys. I'm doing 25 shows in a row leading up to December 25th, and that'll be my 300th show, at which point I'm taking a break for a couple of weeks. But if you have anything you want me to talk about on the show, or any questions you want answered, or if you have a text stream with a woman that you want me to analyze on one of these shows, you can write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com. That's HarryWilmington@gmail.com. That's it for today. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I'll catch you guys on tomorrow's show. I'm out. Peace.